Today's episode is brought to you in part by
Hello, everyone, and thank you so much for joining me for Daily Spark TV. I'm your host, Dr. Angela Butchester, and you guys know what I like to do on this show. I want to enlighten you. I want to inspire you. I want to empower you to become your best. Now, scripture reminds us that the tongue is a small thing that makes grand speeches, but a tiny spark can set a great forest on fire. And that's what we want to do today. We want to get you fired up about my guest. I'll be spending time today with Rob Marshall, and we're talking about his book, Paradise Broken. So go on, get comfy, get cozy, get your coffee or get your tea, because we are about to get started. Hello, Rob. Thank you so much for joining me here on Daily Spark TV.
Thank you very much, Dr. Angela, and letting me talk about my novel, Paradise Broken.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, as is tradition here, we always give our authors an opportunity to introduce themselves. There might be some folks out there that are unfamiliar with you or your work. So first question, tell us a little bit about yourself. What makes you you?
I'm a New Zealand farmer, and I've always been a farmer, but I do like to dabble in a bit of writing a book now and again. So at night I did a bit of work on trying to write a book, and finally I got it together and it created Paradise Broken.
I love it. And, hats off to you for being a farmer. We need more farmers in the world. I don't think that you guys get enough credit for what you're doing. You are helping to feed the world. So you guys are very important. So thank you. Thank you so much for following your heart there. Now, being an author, is that something that when you were in your younger years, perhaps like in high school, did you ever think about being an author? Or was this something that you realized this is the best way to get my message out?
Oh, well, no, I never really. I think it's just through life. You saw so many things and you sort of got ideas about things. And one day you think, man, I might be able to put something together here. And so you have a go, it wasn't sort of preempted or anything like that. And just getting ideas together. And one day it sort of clicked and, creative Paradise Broken.
I love it. And you're not the only author that I've spoken to that has said the same thing. So many people. I want to say that, not technically correct, but I could count on one hand the number of authors that have said, oh yeah, I wanted to do this since I was a kid. Most have said, like you, it's just later on in life, I had so much to share, and this is just the best way to do it. So I definitely understand that. Now, the title of your book, Paradise Broken, I'm going to be honest. If that was sitting on the shelf, I would pick it up and read the back because I'm curious about the title. How did you come about that title?
Oh, well, because the whole story was about the main two men in the book Paradise Broken. They loved hunting and they loved going up this big wild river, and they called their campsite Paradise. And it was just such a beautiful campsite. It was elevated. It was on the corner of a really big river, and it had about 20 acres of nice river grass. It was very braided, but in the camp you could look out and see all of the terrain around the camp. So they called it Paradise, and in the river was so much fish, and they just loved all that. And so they would go back and tell their wives about Paradise, and then Paradise got broken in the end.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. I like that. I like that. I know that when I was younger, especially, and in the summertime, I lived closer to the water. In the summer, we would go to the mountains, and just seeing just the beautiful land that we have. And I know everyone has their spot where they
Yeah.
can go where it's really beautiful. And like
Yeah.
you say, just to have that beautiful view, whatever's beautiful for you, but to have that view,
Yeah.
that is awesome. It's so peaceful. It really is. I love it. Now, I like to give a disclaimer for radio. So let me do the disclaimer here. And that is, I want you to tell us about the book, but of course, viewers, you gotta buy the book if you want to know how it ends, right? So I'm not going to ask you anything that where you give the book totally away. I do want for people to purchase a copy. But can you tell us a little bit more about why did you give the main characters the personality that you did?
I guess just from the people I've met in the bush all my life, you just meet so many people in there, and of all nationalities. It's amazing who's in the bush, that like-minded kind of people out there, and you just sort of get a vision in your head how your characters should look like, and that guy was pretty cool, or that girl's pretty cool, like some, and they sort of inspire to write. You sort of think of them as you're writing, putting it together.
I can understand. I can definitely understand that, because I think that when we tell stories in general, even if we're not authors, if we think about when folks tell stories, they almost try to tell it in a way where they're telling you through that person's personality, or they'll do a gesture that's, he did the, or she said, or, you add those extra things. So that is true. You do just simply share their personality traits within the story. I love that you picked up on that piece. Now, would you say that your book is appropriate for someone who is high school age, that 14 to 18-year-old, or would you say college age and older would be better?
I think most people could read it, because when I wrote it, I made sure there was no swear words in it so my mother could read it. But I think there might be one or two little ones, but not many.
I love it. I love it. And that is a really big concern for so many people, so the fact that you were mindful of that, I love that. And I love how everyone says, listen, mom is around, don't say that. I love how people are always respectful of mom. That is a beautiful thing. Now, would you say that that the ideal reader, do they have to have a love of the great outdoors, or would this be for anyone who's simply interested in a good story?
Yeah, I think most people would just enjoy a good story, and I think they will probably end up loving the outdoors.
With everything that is going on in the world with COVID and all of that, outdoors is a very safe place, a safe place to be. So let's reconnect with nature. So I love that. I love that. Now, if there is one thing that you want to make sure that a reader of the book really, really gets, if there's one nugget of wisdom that you've placed in there, what would that one message be?
I think just real love for people, and because you've got to have somebody to rely on, and that's how love really is important, and especially when things go wrong, so I think that will be a good thing.
I agree with you. I've often had that conversation with some of our younger people, where we're not in this world alone. We weren't meant to be here, all off to ourselves. Nurture the relationships that you have. Some people have been blessed to have, a handful of folks that they've known all their lives. So you're right. Some people come and some people go. Some people are made for a little while, some people for a long while in your life. But you're right. We should definitely hold on to those good relationships there.
Yeah.
Now, when it comes to how to read your book properly, many times an author will construct the book in a way where we can kind of, as a reader, we can pick it up and start reading anywhere. Others will give us a little bit more direction where we should read chapter 1 or like section 1 before we read chapter 2 or section 2. Did you do that with your book, or is it reader's choice where they start?
Oh, I think it's important they really read it from the start because, there's sort of two things going on in the book. There's the main party going up the river, and then there's another party in that river catchment at the same time. So to keep them equal, they sort of got to read from the front, yeah.
Yeah, thank you for that. And I asked that. I remember someone asked me, why did I ask that question? And it says, you always ask that of everyone. And I said, I know that there's people out there that like to turn to the last page and read that page first. Or some people say that they kind of just drop the book, and wherever the book opens, that's where they start. And it's like, I'm sure you've missed something, but okay, if that works for you. So thank you. Start from the beginning so that you can pick up on all of the pieces there. I love it. I love it. Well, Rob, it is time for us to go to break. But before we do, can you remind everyone, what is the title of your book? Where can we get a copy? And what's your website?
My title of the book is Paradise Broken. You can buy it at Amazon and where good books are sold. The website is paradisebroken.com.
Alrighty, everyone. Now you know where you can get a copy of the book. We'll be back right after this.
Today's episode is brought to you in part by
There's something I need to tell you. This relationship isn't working. It isn't good for me. I'm breaking up with you.
It's not me, it's you. I became dependent on you. And you were always there for me, even when I was at my worst. But I didn't realize the damage you were doing. You created a toxic environment. Not just for me, but others too. You were suffocating me.
We're just no longer compatible. Also, there's one more thing. I met someone else.
I'm respected in public. I'm making friends. I feel like I can breathe again.
That's how I deserve to be treated.
我们书店结束了。
तुम फिर से कभी नहीं मुझे दुख दोगे। Ni siquiera te necesito.
Parce que j'ai une autre option.
And it's a healthy relationship.
And we are back. Thank you so much for joining me for Daily Spark TV. Now, Rob, I want to kind of shift gears just a little bit with you. And one of the largest audiences that we have are aspiring authors. They love watching successful authors share about their stories and how they do what they do. The one question I make sure to ask of all you guys is about publishing. Every author has to decide, do I self-publish? Do I use the professionals, or do I pitch my book to the big boys? Which way did you decide to publish your book?
I went for self-publishing, and so that's how we got started.
And I'm finding that more and more people, no disrespect to the big guys, of course, but I'm finding more and more people are self-publishing their book so that they can have a little bit more control over what's included. Was that important for you as well?
No, not really. It was more because I didn't know really where to start and how to get the book published and who to speak to and all these kind of things. And it was just easier to ring up and get it to talk to a self-publishers because they seemed more accessible.
Yeah. I can definitely understand that. And I'm finding that they provide all of the services that you need, just depending on your budget. So that is a great place. I really love that they're doing that.
Yeah.
Now, when you were in the process of writing, every author has to have that space, that time where they decide today is a right day. Did you need a particular environment, like away from everyone, or was that not important to you?
Oh, yeah, I really did need a particular environment. I needed to be in the zone, because, the business I'm in, it's very busy and you've got so much going on in your head, and you need to know that you're feeling like doing it. Otherwise, it gets too hard, so you've got to make sure you've got a clear head, and I've got to have it quiet, so getting all that together is not easy in these days when you're so busy,
Absolutely. And you're so right. I didn't even think about that. With so many people being in different industries of work, sometimes you're just not in the right headspace to sit down and write that day.
Yeah, absolutely. And if I was in the right headspace, I could sit down and write 1,000 words, no problem. And but because I aren't techno, like I'm no good on computers or anything, I wrote Paradise Broken by hand. So
Nice.
Paradise was completely written by hand, and it was screw the paper up and throw it away kind of stuff. But I soon learned to leave 2 lines between every line so that I could correct it without having to start again. So that's
I love that. No, that's the old school way, right?
Yeah.
That's the way that we used to write it when we were in high school, and that's what they taught you, like you said. So you didn't have to start all over again, but you could go in and make those corrections. I think that's one of the reasons why perhaps if you're of a certain age, you don't understand what reading between the lines means because you've never had to write in between the lines,
No,
everything is done on computers. That's true.
Yeah. It always blows me away how they wrote the Bible. It's so thick. Those guys must have spent 1,000,000 years.
I said the same thing. Like, oh my goodness, there are so many things, Robin, and that just reminds me of how we kind of take certain things for granted. I think that we forget that there is love that is poured into every single book. And someone has just learned a very important thing about you, that you were so dedicated to getting this book out that you were willing to write it longhand. I say, make sure you keep those notes, because one day those pages are going to be worth a lot of money, because that's the original, not like the original printed, but the original handwritten, people want those types of things. So that really shows a lot about who you are and the passion dedicated to getting it out, which I'm glad I'm going to ask this next question. And that is, how did you feel then when you were handed your first copy of Paradise Broken? I'm going to say hot off the presses. You now have your copy in your hands. How did you feel in that moment?
Oh, it was really quite special. And, and after all the work that we'd put into the book, and to see it in print was just amazing. And it was really awesome.
I can imagine. I remember I've written a workbook, and I remember how I felt in that moment. And it was just a workbook, not a novel. So I can only imagine, and then making my first, I think my first euro as opposed to my first dollar. You would have thought that I, had hit the jackpot or something. And it was just really funny, the things that we experience as authors and the things that make us excited. Now, when it comes to future endeavors, many authors that I have spoken with, Rob, they will say, I have more books under my belt, so to speak. I've been bitten by the author's bug. I plan on writing more. But I've also had some authors say, Dr. Angela, I don't care to write anything else ever again. I am one and done. Where do you think that you fall when it comes to future writings? Do you think you have some more under your belt?
I think I do, but it's a time issue. And, certainly some days I think, man, I could really write a good book about that, or especially a children's book or something. I could do that. I think I could do that quite well, but then I can't draw, so put you off. But anyway, I do have ideas like that, and
that would be awesome. I tell people that I love children's book authors because the way that they're able to present the lesson to children and use as few words as possible, like that's really awesome. I'm too much of a chatty Cathy to write a children's book. So I think that's awesome.
But you see so many things on the farm that kids love, like the bird, the way the birds nest and all that, and they get into my mailbox and they're everywhere. So it's quite cool, all the little things that you could do,
Yes, that is so true. I remember one year we had a little nest that was in the bush next to the car in the driveway, and that little mama bird, she never bothered me, but I tell you, when we had a visitor, she did not like the visitors passing by her nest. And I would say, you're a mom, go on the other side, don't mess with mama bird. She is not playing with her nest. And you're right, that is something that you could share with little children, that the love of animals as well. I like that. Now, when it comes to advice, I think that not only is your book sharing about wisdom gathered along the way and the lessons that we learn, as an author, you have learned some lessons along the way as well. Is there something that you know now that you wish you had known then that would have made the process a little easier?
I think you do learn a lot, when you're doing this, and there's definitely from the start I might have done things quite a bit different now, but it's been it's been good. We've got where we wanted to get, in terms of getting it published, so it's worked all right. And
Good. And I think that where you are as a person helps with that process as well. So many people get frustrated. It's like it's a learning experience. No, you don't have to get it right the first time to be a successful author. There are so many people that have that story, Rob, where I had one lady, I think she said she wasted about $500 trying to figure out what to do, but when she finally got it right, it was worth even the wasted money, because now she's a published author. And I go, I understand. Lessons learned. Not that we want anyone to waste $500, but it's just,
exactly.
it's lessons learned. Absolutely. Now, I want to ask, and this is the last question for our aspiring authors out there. If there's a piece of advice that you could give to that aspiring author that's trying to decide if they should step out and write that book, what advice would you give to them?
I would think if they've got an idea and an inspiration to do that book, you know, they've got to put it on paper and do, I mean, on computer and do.
I know what you mean.
And get their thoughts into that book, because once the thoughts are all down, they can create more, you know, improve the book, and over time they'll get it right, you know. So I would certainly say, if you've got the idea to write a book, that's pretty important to start with, and then in terms of carrying on with the book, I certainly would inspire them to finish those books. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I love that. If you have an idea, get it out of your head and down on the paper, on your phone, on your laptop, whatever, but just get it out and start that process. I love it. I love it. Now, when it comes to the reader of your book, I know that this conversation has prompted someone and they're saying, yes, I want to get a copy of the book. And I want to give you an opportunity one more time. If there's something, some words of encouragement that you want to give to a reader of the book, what would that word of encouragement be as well?
Oh, just to, just enjoy the book, and hopefully you'll get to know beautiful New Zealand out of the book, and I hope they write one of their own.
Absolutely. Traveling is such a beautiful thing, and I'm so blessed to have been able to travel, you know, to so many different places. And you're right, you can fall in love with a new place just by reading a really good book. So I think that is amazing. I love it. I love it. Well, Rob, thank you so much for spending time with me here today. I appreciate your coming on the show and spending time with me here on Daily Spark TV.
Yeah, thank you very much, Dr. Angela. And you can buy the Paradise Broken by Rob Marshall on Facebook and Amazon, where all the books are sold.
Absolutely. Thank you again for being a guest. And viewers, thank you for spending time with us here today as well. As always, may the Lord continue to shine his face upon you. May you receive his grace and his mercy in all that you do. Until next time, everyone, remember, you're blessed in the Lord. Have a great day, everyone.
Welcome to Daily Spark TV. Are you an author with a faith-based book? Be a guest. Serious about your product or service and want to try something new? Sponsor an episode. I see you're ready to get started. So visit drangela.chester.com. Thanks again for watching Daily Spark TV.
Hi there. If I can show you how to get your own TV show or independent movie on a global TV platform, reaching 50 million homes and devices for free, would you give me about 15 minutes of your time? Plus, we will show you how you can get paid royalties every month on your on-demand TV content. Hey, TV is booming, so join the movement. Click the link below or visit www.mytvoffer.info.